7 that are.
Okay, folks, I'm going to call the Hopkinton Town Council meeting of August 15th, 2016 to order with a moment of silent meditation and salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I need a motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
Motion to seal the minutes of the executive session.
Second.
Okay, motion made second. All those in favor?
Aye.
And there were no votes taken in the executive session. First up is a hearing. I need a motion to sit as a licensing board.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Special event permit, open a hearing on an application for a special event permit filed by Karen Windsor on behalf of Foster Parrots Limited for their annual fundraiser with tour, live music and buffet, scheduled for Saturday, September 17th, 2016, from 12 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Foster Parrots Limited facility located at 87 Woodville, Alton Road, Rhode Valley. Applicant present? Is the application complete? Waivers?
The application is complete. I received a phone call from Rhode, the building official, today. He mentioned that there was a pending alarm system that was being installed that should be operable by September 1st. Provided that is in operation, he would have no objection to that being granted, so it might be something that you would consider subject to. Maybe a report of that from the fire marshal that it's up to date.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay. Also, I guess, what about the taxes? I guess you want to mention that too again. So, Karen,
Yes.
you've got the mic.
Yes, well, this is an annual event, and it goes off flawlessly every year. It's for a great cause, and it's a great crowd. It's a mature crowd, so we do ask for a waiver on police surveillance. We expect our alarm system to be operational, and this should go off just like every other year.
Who wants to start?
I know that you've never had a problem before. I think we're very pleased with that. I'm very glad that it's working. I'm glad that you're growing and changing, and your parties have always been quite acceptable. And so I have no problems with not having as many police or not having the police there at all. We do have a question on the tax roll payment, because you have taxes due.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I just mailed that check. So the check is in the mail. So it'll be all caught up in the next day or two.
That's just quick of a wonderful time.
Dave, anything, Karen?
No, I'm fine with it. It's been run well in the past. I believe it's a good fundraiser for the group. And the wonderful operation down there, as far as I've heard. I've never been down, but I've been by it. And,
You should come to the fundraiser. Okay, we'll send you.
okay, let me, I'll send the money.
How many parrots do you have there now in Jericho?
We have about 380 parrots.
Wow.
So we are developing the property with a heavy humane education focus and, and an nature focus. It's animals and environment. So I think it's going to be a great bonus for the town in the years to come.
It's a bonus now.
It's a great place. If you haven't visited, then you should, after the fundraiser, make an appointment, and we would love to show you all around.
Great.
It sounds good, Karen. Good luck, and I hope you guys do as well. I appreciate it. Okay.
A motion to allow the application for the special event permit on behalf of Foster Parents, subject to the fire alarm being up to date and town taxes paid in full.
Second.
And waiver of the police. And waiver of the police.
What about the final fee? I think that was also in the application.
Yes,
You mentioned that.
But you had to advertise though.
But I wanted to ask you if you're going to be waiving the application fee and the $82 advertising fee, authorizing it from company.
You could waiver not the advertising, but the application fee.
That's what, $100?
Yes.
And a waiver of the application fee.
Second on that too.
So we're waiving the, not the advertising, just the application.
Correct.
Motion made, okay, second. All those in favor?
Aye.
done, thank
Thank
you.
you.
We will.
Just a motion to return to licensing board and reconvene with council.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, consent agenda. Motion to approve consent agenda. Approve town council meeting minutes of July 5th, 2016. Set September 6th, 2016 as a hearing date for a special event permit filed by Holly Tree Campground. Set September 6th, 2016 as a hearing date for a special event permit filed by the Friends of Hopkinton Land Trust. Accept the following monthly financial activity report. Clerk, approve refund due to the bank overpayment submitted by the tax collector. Approve abatements due to corrections, adjustments to motor vehicles submitted by the tax assessor.
Pull the 5th, July 5th,
Yes.
meeting minutes.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the removal of July 5th minutes.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
What page, Dave?
Page 2, halfway down that first group of sentences right there, I think we should put, the first reference to Mr. Lampier, this says Mr. Lampier, that's the first reference to him, I think we should put Tom Leonard, James Lampier. Further on the second group of sentences, there lines, it says Mr. Ward, I think we should put Mr. Brad Ward. For safety. That's the first reference for him too. Also on page 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Ninth line down, the one that starts with immediately. Is that shot rock or sheet rock? It's sheet rock. I don't know what shot rock is.
No, I think it's shot rock.
Is it shot rock?
Yeah, shot rock.
Okay, good. It's not sheet rock.
No.
Okay. Okay, good. Oh, I got good.
Page 14,
Okay.
Yes.
the paragraph, the last paragraph that deals with Mr. Henry, that's the first reference to ACS. So we would just want to put in parentheses, American Community Survey. That's all. Where would you want that? At the second sentence, it's the first time ACS is used.
Last paragraph, sentence, the second
Yes,
sentence.
good line up.
See where it says Mr. Henry explained the memo his office received?
Oh.
14, we said page 14. Oh, okay, yeah.
Last paragraph, second sentence. Put in parentheses after ACS. American Community Survey.
Okay, that's all, because it's used below, but it should be right there.
Motion to approve town council meeting minutes of July 5th, 2016.
Second.
Okay, motion made second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. First public forum. First public forum is typically for anything on the agenda that you wish to talk about.
That is or is not?
That is.
Yes. Good evening again, the old college tribe, Barbara Raylan Decker, 87 Pine Street. This council has a very strong and clearly worded earth removal ordinance. It dictates that materials extracted shall come from extraction, quarrying, or removal from a parcel of land of any soil, loam, sap, gravel, stone, clay, shale, or other earth materials from deposits on any tract of land on which these materials are found. By applying this ordinance as it is written, this council has the opportunity to protect what lies beneath 95 Pine Street, being the M&L property, which is our aquifer, which is called some of the purest water in the state of Rhode Island. We realize that if they can prove that there's still material in the ground, that Mr. Teresi has every right to extract it. We have no problem with that. And that if there is any remaining material, this council will grant the earth removal registration to M&L Holdings LLC. We have no choice. But we would then ask the council to place restrictions on the activities of M&L, which would allow him to process materials extracted from the site, as per the ordinance, and not to bring materials in from outside the site. The more materials processed at that site compounds the chance of an accidental spill. The screener he's using now is not the screener that he had, that he presented to the planning board, to the town council, and subsequently to the zoning board. He's got this big honking hydraulic thing in there now that makes a cataract and is dangerous. So we also don't want to take a chance that the compilation of materials. I have an S on this paper, but I'm going to do it different. Compilation of materials that he has down on Route 91 across from the dump can possibly come home to 95 High Street to roost. Again, we are very hopeful that he will be able to find another use for the property, which we will try like heck to support. So thank you.
Next, under my report, I want to just, oh, sorry.
Judy Lewis, 14 Rhode Drive. And I just want to thank you for your patience. And as I mentioned in my letter of July 11th to you, I do appreciate that I was wrong about that Ripke's report. This I don't think I provided Lisa with copies of the actual report that I did receive from the Department of Environmental Management. I don't believe she included that in your packaging.
We do have it.
Oh, you do? Oh, okay. Okay. And I also met with Brad at that time because Mr. Lawton's report of the 22nd stated he found one telephone pole. And I have pictures taken on February 18th of 2016 clearly showing at least 16 telephone poles. So, not 16, 6, I'm sorry. And I wanted to verify this with Brad. So it is my understanding that Mr. Teresi feels these telephone poles are on Todd McCourt's property. And Brad does feel, in hindsight, that it would have been prudent to state the make and the model of the type of the screener that could be used on the property. But I don't think any of us, from the planning board to the homeowners, ever anticipated we would be faced with this nightmare. And I do have those pictures that if you want them, Lisa, for the council to look at with a copy. Thank you for your time.
Thanks. Okay, anyone else? Public forum? Anything on the agenda? Okay. Next, under my report, I had a meeting, excuse me, with the Wood Pawcatuck Watershed Association, with myself, Jim Lanfair, Sean Henry from Planning, Henry Oppenheimer from Richmond, and the watershed received a $750,000 grant to study various dams throughout the watershed. And we chatted about the condition of the dams, what's recommended for removal, what's recommended for repair, and they wanted to be on the agenda in September for us to chat about that further. They're looking ultimately for some endorsement to, I guess DEM does not want to replace the dam or remove the dams in certain areas. They want to just repair them, and they think that's counterproductive to flooding resiliency. So there'll be more to come with that in September, second meeting in September. They'll be at the meeting in Richmond, the first meeting in September. And our meeting is the same night, so we have to switch off to the second meeting. Also, I just want to make a quick mention that our first meeting in September is the holiday. Well, our typical day is the holiday, Labor Day. We need to make that the Tuesday the 6th, I believe. So that's it. That's all I have for me. Town manager report, Bill McGarry.
Thank you. Meeting with National Grid on July 28th, Councilor Tom Buck, Planner Jim Lanfair, and I met with the National Grid representatives, Paul Stasiak and Richard Boyle, at the Crandall House to discuss the status of the Chase Hill electrical substation. Richard Boyle is the engineer who's in charge of that. We meet periodically to receive updates on the project from National Grid representatives. They've been very good in keeping the town informed. They advised during the next couple of months they're going to be burying conduits from the site under the Ashaway and Chase Hill roads, and they advised that they'll have the necessary police personnel on site to ensure smooth flow of traffic. Secondly, Hope Valley Waterline Plumbing pre-bid meeting, August 4th. Finance Director Brian Rosso, My assistant Courtney Ireland and I attended a pre-bid meeting regarding the Hope Valley water line plumbing installation request for proposals. One local company representative attended the meeting, and the meeting was very, very informative and helpful to both the town officials and also the plumbing company who's expected to bid on the project. Bids are due on August 18th, with a bid award scheduled for September 6th. We've already ordered the 52 water meters, and they're scheduled to be delivered on September 7th. So that's a work in progress, but it's moving along very nicely. DPW RFP, during the month of August, Director Tim Teft, my secretary Courtney, and I prepared a request for proposals for the updating of the electrical system and installation of a fire alarm system at the Department of Public Works. Creative Environmental has designed the electrical and fire alarm systems, and they've subsequently been approved by the State Fire Marshal and also the town's electrical inspector. The 50-page design specifications have been incorporated into the request for proposals, and we plan on advertising the project next Sunday, August 21st. Conduct a pre-bid meeting at DPW on the 25th, and a bid opening on September 12th, followed by a bid award on October 3rd. The council has previously approved funding in the amount of $45,000 for these two projects through the capital improvement program. Chip sealing of town roads. During the month of August, the town is scheduled to chip seal the following roads: North Road, Tomaquag Road, Lawton Foster Road South, Tomaquag Valley Road, and Townsend Road. A total of 111,175 yards. And on June 6th, the council awarded the chip sealing bid to Coma Contracting from Farmington, Connecticut, who's done it for 70 years for us, for a low bid quote of $150,419. 5 Lynn Lane, during the first week of August, I made numerous calls to out-of-state agencies, banks and mortgage service agencies, and finally located the one that owned 5 Lynn Lane. On behalf of the town, I requested they contact the local landscaper to maintain the property that recently went through the foreclosure process. And on Monday, August 8th, I had learned from Councilor Capalbo and neighbors who contacted my office that 2 workers were on the property all day Monday and no one maintenance problems were addressed. And lastly, on August 10th, Councilor Sylvia Thompson, a solar farm investor, and I attended a meeting held at the Crandall House to discuss the possibility of placing a solar array on municipal property in the town of Hopkinton. It was a very preliminary meeting. There's still a lot of work to be done. It's a working process. My next goal is to contact somebody from the State Office of Energy Resources to get some more information on this proposed project.
Any questions for Bill, folks? Yes, Barbara.
I wanted to say thank you very much for the report on the chip sealing. I really appreciate the town knowing where the chip sealing is going to will be done on the roads. The other thing is, for myself and my neighbors, thank you for fixing 5 Lynn Lane. It was beginning to look like quite a health problem, and the rats and the snakes and the chipmunks and the cats were having a wonderful time in there. They really appreciated it. The other thing I wanted just to ask is, on the National Grid, on the Chase Hill Station, do we have a date for that to come online? Is that in a year, or when will they finish?
September, October of 17?
Yes.
So it's another,
Fall of 2017.
okay, so it's another year. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions for Bill? Okay, thank you, Bill. Next, under old business, review approved Tracy earth removal registration renewal application. Mr. Olitchik? Nice to see you again.
It's nice to see you. Shall I proceed?
Sure, please.
Good evening.
Charles Solonitzik for the register of Frank Teresi and M&L Holdings. If the council will recall, the matter is protracted based upon some community concerns and some specific articulated concerns about whether a RIPD certificate was necessary and if there's any extractable materials remaining on the premises. Based upon our research, and if I understood Mrs. Lewis correctly this evening, we were correct that no RIPD certificate was, RIPD's permit was required for this site. And we've got the report, as I presented to the council this evening, that there's remains native extractable materials on the site. I presented a memo to you today. I hope you had a chance to review it. I'd be happy to answer any questions with respect to it. The thrust of it is the registration ordinance is limited in scope to merely registering a particular use on a particular piece of property. It isn't carte blanche for the owner of that site to do anything he wants with the property, nor would the granting of the renewal of this application have any impact whatsoever on the zoning issues involved with this site. So concerns that someone has about the renewal of this registration, endorsing activity, as I've tried to express in prior meetings, that is basically not what's before you. And as I tried to articulate in my memo, we're certainly sympathetic to it. We understand the motivation of everybody, but this is the forum. And it certainly is in the forum in the context of this renewal application. Hopefully we've satisfied the inquiries of the council about the issues that were raised, and I'd be grateful for a favorable consideration of this renewal so we can all get on with our activities, other activities. Certainly, if there's any reluctance or if you have any questions of me, I'll be more than happy to respond.
No, I had a chance to read it. I think it was just given to the council tonight, right? So, I don't know if you guys want
I have a question.
to cruise through it. And,
Back in April, we know that Brad Ward inspected the property and imposed a cease and desist. This was April of 2016, in reference to the material that was there.
I don't believe the timing is right. I mean, there is a cease and desist that's pending on appeal in the zoning forum
Right,
concerning asphalt materials. That was
Right.
August of 2015.
Okay. And what I wanted to ask you is, what's the status of that?
Well, the status is under agreement with the prior town solicitor and the zoning official. We maintain the status quo. We are not importing any new asphalt to the site. We're not processing any asphalt on the site. As a matter of fact, we've gradually started to remove asphalt from the site on a practical basis. That matter is pending before the zoning board of appeal on the issue of whether or not that cease and desist was justifiable. And again, so it is something that we've been trying to respond to with some consideration to the municipality without giving up our perceived right to import these materials onto the site.
Have you actually presented your case to the zoning board yet?
Well, the matter has been handed off to another attorney. The zoning board granted a continuance. I believe that might have been an event in April or May. April, I suspect. Because of the prospect of the solar ordinance that you had with an eye towards seeing if we could make a global resolution to the site. I mean, obviously, if the property were going to be put to another use that might be of some benefit to my client, then our concerns about being able to process materials on the site would ultimately go away. So, in a nutshell, there's no regulatory authority in the state addressing asphalt millings. There's a trend nationwide that the sense that they're hazardous is being sort of disproved, and they're not considered to be hazardous waste, hazardous materials in this state. Because of their nature consisting of sand and gravel in large measure, we have considered them to be the kind of materials that we had the right to process. Reasonable folks may differ on that topic, and that, I think, is the context of that appeal. All that being said, we have maintained the status quo for about a year, based upon, I guess, this academic debate that may be material, and in hopes that the possibility of finding another use for the property to satisfy a well-mobilized, concerned constituency of neighbors, as well as my client's peace of mind. We put that on hold. That matter is not in the hands of my office, certainly not as first chair right now, although I do continue to represent Mr. Teresi and his entity. And I think exploration is continuing to take place. Obviously, the consequence of the details of the ordinance will need to be sweated out. I'm sorry for the long-winded answer.
No, I just, I wasn't sure where it stood with the zoning board and, you know, when you thought they might be making a decision.
Well, I believe the matter was continued to the September Zoning Board of Appeals session. And I'm not sure how it will be prosecuted at that stage.
All right, and I think the issue is not necessarily just this one pile of asphalt piles, whether or not materials can be brought out from outside and then taken back out, whatever the materials are. So that's a concern of the neighbors.
Well, I don't deny that from an intellectual perspective, but as I said before, for the purposes of this renewal, the renewal just relates to one component of a bundle of rights that my clients have. And I mean, it's obviously our position that we wouldn't have acquired the property if we didn't obtain a zoning certificate that suggested to us that we could mine material and process material on site, and essentially without the limitation of having it been extracted on the site. And David, I can't help but hear an editorial in your voice, but the fact of the matter is, it may be the most important issue that the municipality has to deal with, but it's really not before this council tonight.
But let me ask you, was that an assumption on your part, or your client's part, or was that a guarantee that they could bring material in and process it and bring it out again?
The building official was certainly familiar with the activities that were occurring on that property when the certificate was being obtained. As I said before, I don't think this is the forum for me to make my ultimate legal arguments because it's not my case anymore. But with respect to that is my client's position that the predecessor was processing materials on that site, and virtually all the materials that he was processing were imported. Okay? Now, that issue may be the elephant in the room, but it doesn't relate to this ordinance about my client's right to extract.
Right.
And for us to continue to have to take a defensive position or an offensive position in this forum is unfair to my client. It's costing him time and money. I'm not going to deny that it's significant to certain people, but it just doesn't belong, respectfully, before you guys.
Can I just,
Sure.
Sylvia hasn't finished, so
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to get back to her. So.
That's all right. I guess the only, I was curious about that. I don't expect you to go in for, explain what you're going to do for the zoning board or work as lawyers. But the last thing I just wanted to say is, I hope that he would take a serious look at the solar, the potential of having a solar array there that would be quiet and shielded, and that's all I can say.
So, and I can respond to that.
And
I
it's a
thought,
moneymaker.
I did express that we are exploring it.
Good.
I think we're looking for a win-win situation, not just for us, but, you know, it's been a hostile environment for a couple of years. I don't think that at least from my perspective, we have any animus towards the neighbors. They've been very well mobilized, challenging group, and they made my work harder. But I do think that we want to have a happy neighborhood as best we can. So if that is the way that we could accomplish it, then we're going to look into it seriously. I've had preliminary discussions with my client. I've spoken to his other attorney, who is looking into it as well. I can't tell you what the practicalities will be, but we're certainly considering that, because, look, if this wasn't controversial, this wouldn't be my third or fourth visit to the council for renewal of a registration that already existed. Now, if it wasn't controversial, chances are we wouldn't have had a year's worth of zoning hearings on associated matter, and more to come. You know, as I mentioned at the first hearing on this, I was 6'6", so I did have a full head of hair, and I was popular when it started, and it's beating me down. So we're looking to try to make it better if we can't make it completely go away.
Great, thank you.
David? Anything more for Charlie?
Yeah, Charlie, I'll be honest with you, I don't have any problem with renewing this earth removal registration. I don't have a problem with that. I don't want to see it, and boy, I'll be hot under the collar if I see it being abused. You know, if it gets renewed, if it's being abused, and the assumption on Mr. Teresi's part that this can be construed, this renewal can be construed as being, allowing him to do things that I don't think he should be doing. And so that's how I stand on it. I'd like to renew the registration, and because if there is something there to be removed that's on site, that's been there forever, fine, it's allowed to do it. The only other thing I have to say is that I think that I will always think that asphalt shavings or gravel or whatever, anything that contains asphalt is a petrochemical product. And when it rains on asphalt, even the roads, I suppose, you have runoff. And that runoff is a petrochemical that's going to go into the ground. It's going to go someplace, it's going to go down to that ground, and if there's an aquifer down there, it's possible it could go into the aquifer. So I really don't want to see asphalt on that property any more than it has to be. Unless you have, you know, for trucking or for drinking trucks or something like that. But to pile up on the property is ridiculous, and I don't think it should be processed there. So, anyway, I have no problem with the renewal, personally.
And I'm grateful for that, and I'm also moderately grateful that you're not sitting on the zoning board.
I would want to be, thank you.
Those issues, as I tried to explain, and I don't mean to be a smart-mouth attorney. I mean, but I have been practicing law long enough to know that there's some sort of sense of organization to our federal, state, and local laws and regulations. And if this were the body that your town chartered and authorized to make decisions about land use, specifically, then we may have this discussion in the context of some sort of a matter. I mean, you do have the authority to enact zoning laws with public input and stuff like that, but the prosecution of issues related to zoning start with the zoning office, move up to the zoning board of appeal, and then they go to the superior court to be discussed. So this ordinance is a non-zoning ordinance. It relates to a function, essentially a licensing function, determine if someone who's conducting a certain type of operation, the extraction of native materials from a site, whether or not they met the criteria of the standards when they first applied, and what's changed since then. Now, what's changed since then is that my clients' other uses of the property have drawn a lot more attention, and we've experienced a lot of criticism. But that doesn't change the basic component of what this matter is all about tonight. And again, if we're having a cup of coffee someplace, David, absent violating the open meetings law, be happy to have a discussion for you. But to make a public discussion about those issues more than I have is probably not the right thing for me to do. So I'm running away from them, but I think I'm running away from them for very legitimate jurisprudential reasons.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, Charlie, I think the council was gracious enough to delay the renewal process a couple times for further information. I think we've gotten the further information. This renewal essentially is administratively a function. It really isn't, like Charlie had mentioned, a function of the council. It's more, now it's in zoning for that land use piece, what they're doing with that or not doing with that. So, and I think, this, again, we've taken into consideration the neighbors, and I think we have an obligation because they've met the criteria of the renewal application more than enough. I think it's time to make a decision. I would support the renewal of the application. It's the right thing to do. There's no legal reason why we shouldn't, and I'll defer to Kevin on that, just for a brief comment, but I can't see any reason why we should not grant a renewal. It's basically an administrative function of the council. It's like a license renewal, and they've met the criteria of that renewal. And like I said, we've delayed it long enough, increasing expenses to the applicant unnecessarily, potentially.
Yeah, I without hesitation, agree with that. This is a very limited scope registration ordinance. The council's done its due diligence. The applicant has cooperated by providing different information, and the scope is limited. The issues that are in controversy are appropriately before the zoning board and not here. And so I agree 100% with what's been said about the limited scope of the ordinance.
Well, I think it's clear that the name of the ordinance is earth removal. And it details how and when and what the hours are in removing earth from a site that they own. And that's all it is. So it's not, so I think we have to move forward.
And we also do in the memos, pages that were given to us today from Charlie's office, there was a surveyor that did mention that there is extractable material still left on site. So there is the material still there based on the surveyor's opinion. So that's in our package too. So anyway, we have a motion to approve.
I move that we approve Mr. Parisi's earth removal registration renewal application.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any further discussion, folks?
And just to say, I wish there was a way that we could, as you mentioned, a win-win, but we have to move forward with this.
Maybe the solar is something that you could possibly explore.
Hope springs eternal, and I mean, obviously, we dedicated a lot of time to an administrative task. Now we can channel our energies into the process of trying to find that win-win situation, and we're hopeful of, I'm certainly hopeful of getting there. I believe my client is in step with me.
And I would also like to say that for the sake of the neighborhood and Meadow Village residents, I think that the case now is in the hands of the zoning board. This is not our purview anymore, beyond this renewal, and that the processing of bringing stuff in and processing and bringing it off-site again is a zoning board issue, not ours.
Okay, so no more comments, folks? Motion was made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, John.
I'm grateful, thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Thanks for yours.
Next, under old business, proposed digital sign ordinance, aka LED ordinance. Discuss and consider an updated draft of the proposed digital sign ordinance.
Yes, I am. I know you are.
I think Bill put this in our packets, or somebody did, and Bill was kind enough to put everything in perspective. He took the ordinance, kind of dressed it up nicely with some of the definitions that I was unfamiliar with, and put a lot of terms in perspective, so that at least I could understand it. Maybe Barbara, this is all Pat for you. So I guess let's chat about the final draft, I guess, so we can see if anyone has any questions or changes or whatever. Probably want to start with
Right,
stuff.
I have two. One of the things that we discussed last time, and it was not in the revised draft, is on page 2, section T, the very first paragraph. We already cut the liquid crystal display, the LCDs, were to be totally removed, as well as the plasma screen.
Oh, that was supposed to be removed.
Those were supposed to be removed as of last time. So it's self-illuminated outdoor signs, billboards, and digital media displays may use light-emitting diodes, which are LEDs, or organic light-emitting diodes, which are OLEDs. Collectively referred would continue. We did make the change already on page 3, number E. We changed that to the static message can be a minimum of 6 hours. That was changed.
I just want to, can I just comment on a quick thing on that? Because that was the only concern I had.
That's more of a big discussion. Can I just go to
Oh,
the
okay,
left,
sure.
and then let's go back to it. And then page 4, I think we need to clarify this a little bit more. It's page 4, number P. The following colors shall be used in digital signs. I think number 1 is adequate, number 2 is adequate, but when you get to number 3 and 4, it should say the prior colors plus red for emergency fire ambulance, and number 4, the prior colors plus white for hospital healthcare facilities and the police. And then you don't need 5, blue for police. The police could always use blue. It's just,
You don't think you should spell it out?
well, what you could do is blue, green, or amber in the first, blue and green for special, but then for 3 and 4, you have to say you can use red, blue, green, and amber for emergency fire, and then red, blue, green, amber, and white for hospital, healthcare, and police. I just thought if you say the prior colors plus red, the prior colors plus white for number 3 and number 4 would clarify that a little bit better. Because sometimes I know, even talking to Chief Palmer, he wasn't sure he could use blue if he could use white. And I said, no, it's all the colors before that as well as white.
Bill, do you have
I have a suggestion, maybe when you talk about 3, 4, and 5, rather than say, prior, just specifically say what colors.
Okay, then number 3 would be blue, green, amber, and red can be used for emergency fire ambulance.
Or red.
Or red. And for number 4, blue, green, amber, red, or white can be used for hospital, healthcare, and police.
Okay.
Thank you, that's
Fair
fine.
enough.
Those are my
Number 5?
changes.
Number 5 be
5 would not exist because number 4 is white is for hospital or healthcare or police.
white, blue, green, amber, red, or white for hospital or healthcare facilities or
And
police.
police, right. Or police. Those are, I just need to clean up for me. So you have another question back on D.
Yeah, so the only thing I was sort of
Page 3.
concerned with was page 3, letter E, was not changing the static displays. I think initially it was 12 hours. We agreed to move it down to 6 hours. So I was just concerned that we would be hand tying the particular businesses, Best Way and Spicer, if market volatility and gas prices were such where they needed to change them more frequently if that posed a problem. So I reached out to them. They both called me back. Best Way and Spicer said 6 hours is more than enough time to react to market prices, so I was happy with that. I just didn't know. I didn't want to put them in a position where we're telling them, you know, we're affecting their profitability by not making changes to market volatility. So that was fine. So is there anything for this?
Yeah, along with what Barbara had said on the first page, of course, liquid crystal display, deleted from definitions.
Oh, okay, crystal, liquid
the
crystal
first page.
display.
Page 2,
Page 2?
No, it's very,
on the very first page.
Liquid crystal display?
yeah, liquid
That
crystal.
was that section's up.
Yes.
Okay.
Strike that.
And, you know, I was talking to Barbara earlier before the meeting started, and, I mean, she doesn't want this, and we don't want this, but it was forced upon us to do, or we get sued. So we're doing the best we can to avoid that, but not go overboard. Only do the least amount we have to, I guess, is one way to put it.
We really want to keep the town looking rural, and we really don't want it to become a Route 2, a Warwick, let alone Las Vegas and Cranston. We really want the area to stay rural and to have quiet colors in the residential areas. I was in Maryland, and there's a church in the middle of a totally rural area with amber lights that just scream at 2 o'clock in the morning, 11 o'clock in the morning. And it's the brightest thing. It actually blinds you as you come around the corner at night, even with your headlights on. And it just shouldn't be done. We have a quiet neighborhood. We need to stay as quiet as possible. And at the same time, LEDs are the light bulb of the future, at least the future as far as we can tell so far. So we need to address that, and I think we have.
David?
I'm still concerned, and I will always be concerned, that these signs should be no further than a farther than 200 feet or 300 feet from the business. I don't want to see a business renting space down the street from another business and erecting one of these signs when it's not on their property, but I suspect that our ordinances cover that, and I understand the ordinances cover that. I still, as we have with the sign ordinance, we have a sign ordinance that says the signs can only be so far from the actual structure, business structure. I like to see the same thing here, but I guess we're covered for that, and hopefully we're covered for that. I'm just concerned about standalone signs down the street. So I think we're all right.
Okay, yeah. I think it's fine. I appreciate everybody doing the best they can and making an ordinance out of something that never existed before. It was in direct contrast to the dark sky ordinance that we have, but I think we're making the best of the situation that came before us, and I think we did a pretty good job. So I was just concerned about that changing in the time. So that's great.
And actually, it dovetails really nicely with the dark sky ordinance. It really does a very good job of dovetailing. I'd like to make a motion to
Yes, please.
set.
Hold on a second.
On page 4.
Sure.
Letter N, in the report. There's a prepositional phrase that at the owner's expense is listed twice. Just to recommend a language change to delete or at the owner's expense, because it later says in the sentence, by any qualified independent contractor, not at the owner's expense.
Right.
Thank you. So I'll make a motion of questions.
Yeah, so we're good with the draft, I guess, with the changes we made tonight, and then we just need to discuss and consider setting a hearing date for the proposed updated regional sign ordinance sponsored by Barbara. So I guess, when do you think, Lisa?
Looking at the calendar, we're at the 15th, so it needs 3 weeks advertising because it has to do with zoning.
The second meeting is.
I think the subject, yep, September 19th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that works for me. Okay, last public forum. Scott, this public forum is typically for items not on the agenda.
Yeah. Scott Bilhurst, 20 Newport Ashway. I just want to say that I did contact the council while my mother was death last Thursday. Ruth B. Gress within this town from 1950, 4 years ago, when he was golden years of assisted living. I did request the council be adjourned in her memory. I understand it will be. I'd like to thank the council for that consideration in advance of that. And she was the first town clerk in this town, Simeon Perry. 2 lines and 1 Caleb Potter, who was town clerk here in the Florida 12 era. Grew up and was born just over the line, Clark's Falls, Spring, Connecticut. So I just want to say that. I could say that she did see my brother swear me into the town council several years ago, a few cycles back, and I think that I just wanted to note that. Thank you for the courtesy.
Yes, Ray.
Ray Cox, Hopkinton City. I got a couple of things in mind. One is about, you have 2 members, I believe, on the council, on this committee for the Rotary, for the substation. Going on there?
Transit.
Right. My suggestion is, instead of spending the money on a Rotary, which we don't need, I'd like to see shoulders put on Route 3, 138, make those. There's bicycles, people walking in the middle of the road. This is so dangerous out there, I'm serious. The other day, I had to follow a bicycle, I don't know how far, because you can't get by them. You know how the highways are. You know, they're flying. That's the main thing I'd like to see. Just a 3-foot one, so that in the winter it's even worse. Even me, when I walk from my place up to here, I had to jump into a snowbank. That shouldn't be. They all, you know, they're pushing safety. They keep putting signs up, which I don't care for at all, especially coming in from Connecticut to Rhode Island. If you read every sign they had, you'd be off the highway. I'm serious. That's the worst infection. I mean, it looks like Gypsy Village. And then they got a sign saying, "Welcome to beautiful Rhode Island." Wrong. It's getting uglier. I'm serious. I don't like it. I mean, certain signs, yes, you do have to have. I agree. But they got signs for signs now. Now they have a stop sign, they have a stop sign ahead. Well, putting money, wasting money, the way I look at it, put it to good use for the safety on that road, for the bicycles, the people jogging, especially along Route 3. I'm telling you, it's bad. And I'd like to see something done. Somebody's got to speak to the state about it, get the priorities straight for the safety. Instead of, you know, and they got markers all over the place. I don't know why. I mean, you got lights, you got a license, you got lights. You should be able to see at night, or you don't, should be driving. They got markers for, you know, it's on the fences, and then they still stick them up. And to me, it looks like junk. It's really an eyesore. You don't see the beauty of this state. Like Barbara's, I know she's one for the, keep it, you know, nice. And that's why I feel the same way. I'd like to see that done. The other thing I'd like to bring up is, I noticed the old Greyhound station out front, I still call it the Greyhound station, that's what it used to be, is up for sale. And I realized we appropriated money to build a new town hall and all this bit, and people, will they shoot it? Not, we don't know. I would say, why can't we buy that, renovate it and make it a compound? Do something with that building up front. It's up for sale.
What building is it?
It's the old, right up front here, the
Yeah.
used to be the Olean Center, it was the Olean Center, then Olean, I don't know, like,
Yeah.
the old, what's the Olean, used to be the Greyhound.
That's right.
Yeah.
We got it.
You know, showing your age now, right? But I would suggest, look into it, see if you can renovate it, make it a compound. And I think it'd probably be cheaper than putting a whole new building up.
Addition, yeah, something.
Just a suggestion, you know, so
All right,
that's about all I have to say.
Sounds good, Ray.
Right now.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Hi, my name is Vicki Lockwood, I live on 6 Beechwood Hollow. I can't speak for everybody in our neighborhood, but we're having a problem right now. Concern Realty built our neighborhood, and they're pretty much washing their hands of the homeowners association and want the residents to take it over or absolve it. We can't come to a decision. We've had about 5 meetings in the center circle trying to decide whether to have a homeowners association or not. We're trying to figure out what our responsibilities are, what are the town's responsibilities. So it's come to some people's attention that there are some detention ponds that we don't know who's responsible for. But we're looking for some direction because we want to maintain the value of our homes. We want to live up to our responsibility, but we want to know what do we need to do, what is our next step. We don't know where to go from here. Concern is not helping us at all.
We had a meeting today on that very topic, and we're going to be working on that very soon through Bill, through the planner. He's going to reach out to you folks this week.
So actually this week.
Yeah. We got a pretty much a game plan. There's one sticky wicket with it, which is the detention pond in the back that's on someone's land.
Yes.
So we got to get beyond that. But other than that, I think once we get beyond that sticky wicket, I think we'll be able to figure out a good plan that will be beneficial to you folks
Okay.
and the town.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're on it.
All right.
Yep.
I didn't know if
Oh,
we
yeah,
needed to all come
oh,
and
no,
address the committee or just, we just didn't know what to do.
Yeah. No, we're on it. We appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Anyone else for public forum? Okay.
I move that we adjourn the meeting in memory of Catherine Lynette Fish and Ruth B. Hurst.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.